The life of a sharecropper during the early 20th century was incredibly tough, and the story of Elvis Presley's maternal grandparents, Bob and Doll Smith, is a stark reminder of the struggles and challenges faced by many families back then. Their story sheds light on a reality that might shock and astonish modern teens, offering a glimpse into a world very different from ours. Imagine living in a time where your daily meals consisted mostly of salt pork, cornmeal, and flour. This was the reality for sharecroppers in Mississippi who had little access to fresh produce and meat. With limited resources, malnutrition became an unfortunate norm, leading to health issues like stunted growth and infections. Housing conditions were equally grim. Sharecroppers often lived in small pine-built shacks with no electricity, plumbing, or windows with glass or screens. Imagine spending hot summers in a stuffy bug-infested room without any way to cool down or keep insects out. It was a harsh and uncomfortable existence. Bob and Doll Smith's life was no exception to this difficult reality. After their marriage in 1903, they moved in with Bob's mother, Anne, who claimed to be a widow despite her husband being alive. They also had to care for Anne's mentally disabled son, Johnny, on top of their growing family. Despite their challenging circumstances, Bob was known as a dedicated and hardworking man, committed to providing for his wife and children. However, life dealt a harsh blow to the Smiths soon after their marriage. Doll gave birth to a daughter, Effie, in 1904, but sadly Effie only lived for 14 months. Not long after their daughter's death, Doll was diagnosed with tuberculosis, a deadly disease at the time. This led to Doll spending the next 30 years bedridden, unable to carry out her daily chores and responsibilities. Tuberculosis, or TB, was a terrifying disease during the 18th and 19th centuries. It was estimated to account for 1/4 of all recorded deaths in England at the end of the 18th century. TB was also believed to be the leading cause of adult deaths in colonial America. By the 1900s, TB had killed an estimated 110,000 Americans yearly, making it the third leading cause of death, only behind heart disease and influenza/pneumonia. TB earned many alarming names due to its deadly nature, including Thissy's consumption, the White Death, the Great White Plague, the Robber of Youth, and the Graveyard Cough. The disease caused labored breathing, coughing, fever, and a gradual wasting away of the body as it starved the blood and body of oxygen. Despite the odds, Doll defied the common trajectory of TB sufferers in the 1800, which typically saw patients pass away within 5 years of diagnosis. Doll lived with the disease for over 30 years, an extraordinary feat given the lack of medical advancements and knowledge about the disease at the time. TB is caused by bacteria and is spread similarly to the common cold through infected droplets from coughs, sneezes, or spit. It is remarkable that despite these conditions being shared by at least 10 people in the Smiths' small shack, none of the other family members contracted the disease. This raises the question, did Doll indeed have TB, or was it another unknown disease of the time? It is possible that Doll was simply too poor to access proper diagnosis and treatment. At the turn of the 20th century, doctors made significant strides in understanding and diagnosing TB, with the discovery of the M. tuberculosis bacteria in 1882 and the invention of the X-ray in 1895, doctors could diagnose TB more accurately. However, it is unlikely that Bob and Doll, as sharecroppers in rural Mississippi, had access to such advanced medical care. Perhaps Doll was one of the lucky few who survived the dreaded disease despite the odds. This story of endurance and survival is a poignant reminder of the resilience of the human spirit, even in the face of incredible adversity. Despite the hard knocks of life, Bob and Doll Smith persevered, providing a model of strength and determination for their family and leaving a legacy of courage for future generations. Their story is a powerful testament to the ability of the human spirit to overcome, even in the most challenging of circumstances.